So, this video is for me, myself, and I. I just had a dream. I was playing in the bowling tournament, and I wasn't doing very good. I was at the highest level, but I was losing. It was like I shouldn't have even been there. And you could interpret that different ways. You could interpret that I shouldn't bowl the regionals. You could interpret that I shouldn't go pro bowling, but I would argue this video is going to be breaking the fourth wall. I apologize, and I'm sorry about what I said. Truly, I don't have any libertarian in me anymore. I'm not a libertarian. I don't think people... I know it's... Everyone hates me no matter what I say. I get that. I have to pick a side. I don't have to pick a side, actually. That's what's funny. I want to be the Pontius Pilate president. The difference is I don't want to get whipped around by my donors. Really, I don't want big donors and banks to sponsor me. I want a righteous shadow government to talk to me in my own little language, and to pray about it, because I still feel called to be president. I just don't feel like I'm going to be the best candidate anymore after that dream. I just think I'm going to be a throwaway candidate, and I'm not as exciting as I was. But things can change. That's why this video is so cool. It's a repentance video. And the difference between me and other humans, I repent when I sin. I repent when I don't sin. How many people could say that? People hate change. If it ain't broke, break it. I love change. And I love trying it out. And I like going back to the way it was if the change doesn't work out. I believe the government... Oh, man, it's so brutal. But here's the thing. In my worldview, it goes God, really. Listen. when I was younger, I tremble at the laws. And I tremble at cops. And I have so much respect for them. When Moni Knopp came to our class in 5th grade, he told us not to do drugs or alcohol. I have a tear running down my left eye. When I see a police officer on the street, I'm so scared of them. Just the car, just what it looks like. I'm not breaking any laws, it's just... I don't know why. They're so powerful. And they're so awesome. There's so many trade-offs to so many policies. It's crazy. The pros and cons are wild. This is why it's so good that I'm good at apples to apples and that I love that game so much. Pro-life or pro-choice? Pro-guns or pro-peace? Grant amnesty to people who come here illegally? Or execute the static laws? Who do you love more, the laws or the people that come here who break the law? And it's like a square circle on some of these ones. It's just like, oh my gosh. There really is a case on both sides. Oh my gosh, and it's insane. But a lot of people, they're like, well, I love Marco Rubio and just the way he speaks about this position makes me feel like there's no case to be made on the other side. I remember watching Bush and Kerry debate. I was at Seneca junior year, and gosh, I remember flip-flopping to both sides as they were so smart, and I'm being serious. I think people call Trump stupid because it feels good. Trump is a beast. I was watching a clip from him from the 90s, and he sounded so much smarter than does now. Now he just seems a little bit older, a little bit less moxie, a little bit go with the flow, and he's almost like relaxed, and he's playing dumb a little bit, and he comes off as a little bit dumb. But about in the 90s, he sounded really, really smart, and he was saying a bunch of things that I could have never said, or even close to it. And I was just like, damn, I'm actually glad I voted for him the first time. And my dad walks by, and I was like, Trump's a beast. And my dad says, a beast. And there is just a righteous bone in there, let's just say. But there's a reason why the politicians speak at a 12th, 13th, 14th grade level. They actually are really smart. It's just, there's so many strings, and they're compromised in a way that the American people don't trust them, and they have a reason to not trust them. It's because it's the politicians being selfish enough to take the bribes, and the people who offer the money are not always super nice, put it like that. And they want to get their own bills passed so that they can make money and stuff. And they could save money on taxes, because this politician will save us on taxes. And then the politicians end up saying things that they don't believe because they don't want to lose their donors. And then it becomes cringe, and I don't really know what's going on. I know I've been called to be president, but I did make a mistake in the car. I figured that giving away it was a really bad L take by me. But this homeless guy says, can I get a jacket? I said, not only can you get a jacket, you can have the jacket that I'm wearing. And I think I made sure he was a Christian, I would hope, but it's my Jesus sweatshirt that I was micro-idolizing those sweatshirts. But I gave it to him, and I didn't even think to give him more stuff because my mind was just on myself, like it always is. And most people think about themselves all day, every day. But if it was a woman, oh my gosh, there was a homeless woman. I cannot stand homeless women. I don't think they should be homeless. I'm a homeless man. It's like, okay, that's cringe. But a homeless woman, I've seen those. Really? No one can help a homeless woman? And it's just, what a life. My $77 a month, the homeless people are just going to sell it and do drugs. I already know. It's so sad. There's so much depth to politics. It's overwhelming. It's like the Bible has so much depth, and I thought I don't know. It's not that I ever thought I could figure it out. It's just, I thought I was a bathtub, and it's really the ocean. There's always another landmine. Oh my gosh. I was talking to this pastor today, and at first I was walking all over him, and then he asked me some questions I didn't know, and I was just like, yeah, this isn't fun anymore. But, there's some hard ones. Do you want the government to be bigger or smaller? Well, it depends. Like Charlie Kirk, said, well, there's going to be trade-offs. And I agree. And I just want to be in the middle of those ones. I could be I'm obviously pro-life, and I'm very sarcastically pro-choice. That is like 100%. But like, because there's not really a case for the other side, but people really act like there is. The case for pro-choice is I'm selfish, I'm wicked, I don't care about anyone else's worldview. And that's just going too far for what you're doing and what you're getting. You're getting a baby out of your stomach, and it's like, just wait for 9 months, poop it out. It's going to hurt. There's pregnancy pains and all this stuff. And I'm so sorry. It sucks to be you, and it really sucks to be you. But it's easy to explain. The smart, righteous people think it's a baby. That's just calm your tits and believe me when I tell you this. All the smart, righteous people think it's a baby, and they think you're killing a baby. And I know you don't think it's a baby. And in the case of rape, it's really intense. I understand that. But, it's weird because there's so many governments in the world that are wicked. And when George Washington and those guys, I guess you could say the founding fathers of the country, they said we got this really great system here, but you have to live righteously to keep it. Joseph Smith said that the Constitution was inspired of God. And I agree. Every good and perfect gift comes from God. And when I run for president, I'm going to speak in a way. I'm going to learn very, very quickly. There's a reason why I'm not going to study politics and get a bunch of static positions. I'm going to run out there and say, yes, we need to cut the Department of Education. And then a bunch of people are going to say, no, we can't because of this and this and this. And then I'm going to say, we shouldn't cut the Department of Education. And then everyone's going to start busting up laughing. And I just want to get whipped back and forth on every position except for the pro-life one. And the pro-life is kind of a deal breaker. The pro-choice is a deal breaker one. The pro-choice, the thing is, like, I know what God thinks about that, and I've seen hell videos of people going to hell for abortion and stuff. Abortion is the shedding of innocent blood, and I have sympathy for people that are stupid because, hey, I'm stupid in a lot of areas. I'm stupid in a lot of fields. And I don't even know how to I don't even want to say the things that I don't know how to do. It's really sad. But it's saying, listen, I just want to be a genuine, trustworthy dude. And I want to go up there and I want to say, listen, I have these righteous shadow puppets and I don't know their names, but I can feel them. And they love me and they pray for me and they want to save the babies. And it doesn't take much for them to discipline me into good behavior. And God, even more so, God, like I just had a dream. It was like you're off the team type of dream just because you suck at bowling. And I heard it loud and clear and all that. There was a bunch of other dreams in there that I forget. They seemed very real when I was experiencing them. And then the dream at the end is the one I remember. It makes sense. Listen, put it like this. How do you view the government? Let's start with that. How do you interpret them? Are you know? I'll tell you how I interpret it. How I interpret them. This is gonna sound crazy, but it's true. I'd say it's a little bit of good mixed with whatever the internet tells me. I know it sounds crazy, but that's the truth. And I clicked on the wrong videos earlier in my life. You do a debriefing. Here's what's really going on. I just heard about that. I'm so sorry that the world is so wicked. But there are I give Charlie Kirk a hard time as a joke. He was a really good man. Just because I disagree with him on a few things, it's like, who cares? I had the wind knock out of my sails. sorry about what I said. I'm so sorry. I have Peter Schiff demons. I'm just glad I'm not going through paranoia. Because I went through some crap. I went through a lot of crap. It's just a blessing not to be going through that crap. And it's like, once I get a clear mind and everything's clear and good, I immediately forget about all the crap that's ever happened to me in the past, ever. And it's just like, and I think it's never going to happen again. And I always think that. Like, oh, now that I'm manic, or now that I'm like, now that I feel like Napoleon, that, oh, my disease is gone, I'm no longer schizophrenic. It's pretty funny, huh? I'm never going to take somebody's car ever again and drive it away. And obviously the way I'm verbalizing through this, just stay on my meds. I haven't missed a day in a while. I don't think, at least. And it makes me feel really good, those meds. It's good for the mind. But I don't think I'm going to be president the way I did last week. Put it like that. Which sucks. I do still think I'm called. It's just, I need to do better. I need to repent. It's like, it feels like I just got benched. Put it like that. It just feels like I missed a bunch of 10 pins, and it's like, you're supposed to get that 95% of the time, like everyone else, and you just missed 3 of them. I was at the PBA regional, the first one, and there was 62 bowlers, and I bowled so good. And I remember I had 7 strikes in a row on a sport shot oil pattern. And I started crying. I thought I was so good. It was the next level arrogance. And I thought I was going to have a career. And I was so proud of myself. And I was just happy to be there too, that's a good reason to cry. I felt really blessed. But then I left a split. The next shot, and I was like, damn. And not only did I not win the tournament, I didn't even cash. I ended up taking 21st, and they paid the top 20. And anyways, Peter Schiff Demons. There's something called the black pill. Listen, the government, I'm just going to talk through this, try to work through this in my head. Because I don't really know what's going on. And that's an honest place to be. I do know how the internet interprets the government. Sorry. I had a dream Sam and Jess was mad at me too. That was the other dream I had. There were just these little boxes. They had these boxes on a oh my gosh. Let's try saying this. I love the government. That feels weird to say. Let's try it again. I love the government. What do you love about the government? Food stamps. It's love I could feel. I don't get food stamps and say, yeah, I deserve these. And I know 90% of the population does. I mean, I deserve it in the sense that I'm meeting it's a conditional gift. It's conditional on income. You have to make it less than a certain amount of money, which I do. And what was the other one? Oh, disability. I feel like I owe this country, tens of thousands of dollars. And I just want to, I can't join the military because I'm schizophrenic. But it's like, I feel nothing but love from the government with those two things alone. And I feel, ouch, that hurt my ears. What a stupid horn. Peter Schiff is a monster in a few ways. They had him come on he's against minimum wage laws. And one of the things that he said was people are smart and they'll negotiate a wage. And he's really underestimating it. Like, he's in the Austrian School of Economics, and it's pure greed based, pure money. And he thinks everyone has a money demon. And capitalism, it's axiomatic that everyone has a money demon and everyone wants money. And most people do want money, and most people do have a money demon, actually. So it does make sense and it works, but I talk to dog owners all the time. They don't have a money demon. They have a dog demon, if you want to think about it like that. Although I'm not even convinced it's a demon. Like, oh, it's a little dog. That's not a demon. I feel the same way, and I wish I loved dogs more. I wish I loved the cats more. One time the Holy Spirit was in me and I was crying. I was at Sacramento or something. I was outside, and the Holy Spirit told me to donate $100 to a dog shelter. And of course, my flesh didn't want to, but I was so overwhelmed with the dogs in the video that were crying. And I just knew it was the right thing to do. And the way you treat animals says, oh my gosh, I don't want to say this. I'm so sorry. I've said this in the past. This is going to be cringe to listen back to this. Oh my gosh. Don't tell my brother. My brother got a kitten. It's a new kitten. It's our kitten. Super cute kitten. It was a brand new kitten. And it looks exactly like our old cat. No one was around. And I started dancing with the cat. The cat told me that he didn't like it. In his own little way. I just remember listening to Kendrick Lamar, Be Humble. And it was like, I was thinking about Kendrick Lamar in Hell and stuff like that. And I was juggling the cat, basically chucking him in the air. I was holding on to him, but I was sitting down on the couch, being humble, getting up, sitting down. It was very strange, very weird. Sit down, be humble, sit down. And oh my gosh. He hated me after that. 3, 4 times I did that. And he's like, or maybe it was 2 or 3 times. 2, 3, or 4 is fair. And he was pissed. And he's like, I told you I didn't like that. And it's like, well, you're a cat and I'm a human. He goes, yeah, well, how about this? I'm out of here. I'm going to find somewhere else to live. And he was smart enough. He somehow ran out. And he went outside and he looked for food somewhere else. And there's so many cat owners. My brother's thinking, I didn't do anything wrong. Why would my cat run away? Little did he know his brother was abusing his cat. The cat's thinking, I've had enough of this. I would rather go outside and take my chances in the world than to dance with Eric for a 5th time. Like, it's a freaking headache. He's throwing me up and down. And I was so selfish. And of course, I didn't know that until I didn't feel bad about abusing the cat until he was gone. And then I was like, damn, I kind of wish I had that cat. And my brother was devastated. And so now I feel bad because my brother feels bad. And I ended up making my screen name, I Lost My Cat. That's my screen name on Lichess. My Facebook is hilarious. I say some embarrassing things on there. Very embarrassing. Anyways, the cat, damn it, dude. I'm sorry for hurting that cat. He ended up going to a different owner. And I found him. It was, I don't know if it was him. It might have been some other black cat. Looks exactly like him, but it might as well have been him. And I just looked at him. And he looks at me and he's like, "Get away from me." And he had a collar. I mean, it looked exactly like our cat. My brother put lost cat signs all over the city. Damn it, dude. I know that I know it was me. And it wasn't a complete accident. I knew the cat was uncomfortable. He's like, "Rrrr." You don't do that to cats, or kittens especially. That he's developing, he's growing as a kitten. And I remember we had a little rabbit in, I think it was 4th grade. It was the school class rabbit. And she brings in this little rabbit. And she says, "This is how you pet the rabbit. Do not go this way with your hand." She doesn't like it like that. And I'm thinking, I don't know what I was thinking. But that was the little rabbit. That was the class rabbit. But the kitten, well, hey, Justin, I need to tell you something. I abused your kitten.
You what?
I abused your kitten.
You abused my kitten.
Yeah, I was dancing with the kitten, and the kitten ended up hating me. That's why he ran away. It was because of me, and I apologize. Will you forgive me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because
I just stop asking for another one.
what?
I said stop asking for another one.
Okay. Well, we already got rid of the rats. The rats was synergy. If we would have got the cat right.
I think it was you dancing. I think it was you just leaving the door open.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, it just wasn't old enough yet.
I'm telling you, I was dancing with the cat in my arms. He was like, "Meow." I could have sworn he hated me because when he was younger, he would come into my room and jump on my stomach. And it was like, oh, it was amazing, that kitten. And then when I started dancing with him, he started like running away from me.
Yeah.
Because I broke trust.
Yeah, it happens to people too.
Absolutely. I just didn't think it would happen with an animal. I'm thinking I was animalizing the animal. Or I was objectifying the animal as if it was like a video game character or something. Yeah. Animals are real beings.
Yeah.
Well, he's pretty forgiving. He no matter what I said, he's like, "Oh no, I don't. I think it was just that you left the door open." Listen, if I didn't dance around with the cat, he would have stayed. That's just how it is. He would have. There's food here and stuff. He's not gonna run away. He's like, I don't want to get danced around with for 10 minutes or whatever that was. 20 minutes even. 20 minutes is insane. 30 minutes. Oh my gosh. Could you imagine being a cat and some schizophrenic is dancing around with you and you don't like it? A dog would like it. Dogs are like little wolves. But a kitten is a different, it's closer to a rabbit than a wolf. And rabbits are very sensitive. I researched the bunny rabbits. They're so sensitive, and they said if you mess up one time, they will remember for the rest of their life, and they will never trust you ever again. So don't mess it up. You have to build trust with the rabbits. They're like super smart. But we used to have a rabbit here, a little rabbit, bunny rabbit. But I'm not a big animal person. But I have holy envy for people who love animals because they have a heart for God. What I was going to say about Peter Schiff, he did this interview about economics, and they wanted to interview him for 3 hours. But they ended up saying, why you want to get rid of the minimum wage laws? And you know what he ended up saying? He's like, who could possibly work for like $6? How could you possibly pay somebody $6 an hour? And he says, well, how about a disabled person? And they're like, what? Yeah, they're not producing very much money. They're not as good as the regular people. And of course, everyone was horrified. And then he goes on his podcast and double down and all that. And he explained it in depth and stuff. And of course, the news media just clipped that one part. And he goes, why are they clipping that one part? I said all these other amazing things. And I explained the economy and everything perfectly. And the people who clipped him were, people who love animals. And they said, listen, this life isn't about just money. It's about love. And something about the minimum wage laws, some people are just excited to get a job. And they just want to work and they want to produce. And they're not thinking, like, when they're told how much they make, they're not thinking, like, they don't even have a reference point how to negotiate. So what ends up happening is, yes, people that are smart are going to quit if they can find something better or whatever, or they're going to get skills and leave. But other people, they're just, they're going to get exploited if the minimum wage is too low, or if the minimum wage doesn't exist. There are people who would end up working for free, just for the free soda and the free manager meal. just to get off the street or whatever. And it's like, and now that's going to block up people like that are going to block up. I don't know. It's minimum wage is really tricky. If it's too high, it could be a problem. But if it's so low that it ruins people's lives, you know, it's a close one. I had a dream I was cussing out some girl she was pro minimum wage, and I just said, "You're a woman." I was like, "Yeah, but you're a woman." And, you know, she was mad at that. And then I immediately said, "Oh, that means I should abolish the minimum wage." But now I want to abolish it as a joke. Now I just think it's a funny joke. But I was being serious for that day because I watched so much Peter Schiff. His voice is just so addicting. And you know, some people, maybe they're not this... Like some people, comedians have some of the best voices. They have a way of not taking themselves too seriously, and you pick up on the vibe. And it's just like, damn, this guy's funny sounding. He just sounds funny. And, you know, Peter Schiff, he's not a comedian. He actually has done a stand-up comedy bit. And a lot of what he says is true and stuff. But the thing is, like, he has a heart for money. And his heart isn't really there. He doesn't really have a big balance. I would say maybe you could argue it's a form of righteous money, where he really has studied. I read his book. I stole his book. Just putting it out there, I did steal his book. I bootlegged it. It was audio, not the audio, just some book. It was called How the Economy Functions and Why It Crashes. And I read it, and I remember Abel Baker Charlie. They're on an island, and they spend 8 hours a day getting fish from the lake, and they just catch them with their hands or something. But it takes them 8 hours just to feed themselves, and they go to sleep. And Abel ends up investing the whole day to invent a net. So now he's really hungry the next day, but now he goes into the lake and he catches a bunch of fish because now he has a net because the invention worked and stuff. And then he ends up loaning the net to Baker and Charlie for interest or something. And it's just so overly simple and stuff. And then he says, now imagine if there was a printing press on the island and you just printed a bunch of paper. You see how that's not going to do anything? And I remember I was reading the book and I was like, yeah, I guess so. I guess printing the money doesn't do anything. And now I'm thinking it's so ridiculously stupid, that book. It's just dumb. It's just like really, really, really stupid, because this is how it would work in reality. You print a bunch of money. You take people who don't have jobs. You tell them you're going to give them the money if they work, and now all of a sudden they work when they wouldn't. That's the reality. That's what's actually happening. So the paper that you print can move labor force. And what I found out is no matter how much money you give a dog owner, they're never going to sell their dog. That's something that I learned. But people with money demons, they have a price on pretty much everything. And anyways, Peter Schiff, he's libertarian, but he tells you to vote Republican if you're in a swing state. That's just what he tells people. He's pro-Constitution, freedom. He's a really smart guy, but he has some L takes. You know, I kind of want to say what they are. Sorry, that's funny. I just had a funny thought. Sorry. I like spinning in the garage when there's no one around. There was a study. It was like one in 2,500 people like spitting in the toilet, and I was like, "What?" That I was like, "That's it." And someone was like, "I don't understand the spitting in the toilet one," and I was like, "What? You guys don't do that?" Oh, come on! It's got to be more than that. Oh my gosh. So I said, I used to play baseball. There's a lot of spitting in baseball. There's sunflower seeds and all this. You learn how to spit, you like it. Then you walk around the house and you can't spit anywhere except for the plants, the sinks, and the toilet. So of course when you take a piss, you're going to spit in there. But what I realized was if there's nobody around, you can pretty much spit anywhere, and it's gross, but it's going to dry up and nobody knows, and it's worth it. Feeling gross, sticking your saliva on something, and then it dries up and nobody knows it happened. There's something like really rebellious about that. Like spitting, just like that. In the Old Testament, if you slap someone in the face, it would cost you 3 days' wages. Unless they punch you back. If you punch them and they punch you back, then it completely cancels out. That's just a fight. But if someone punches you in the face and you decide not to punch back, then you can charge them 3 days labor. So if the fight isn't worth it, or if the guy is bigger than you, you can just take the 3 wages. That way no one goes around punching people every time they get mad, unless it's worth 3 days' wages. Now, spitting in someone's face, guess how many days that was? That was 6 days' wages. 6 days for that. No, it was 365 days' wages. It was a year. You become a slave. Oh, dude, sorry for spitting in your face. I'll work for you for an entire year. Wow. So they completely banned spitting. So when I'm alone and I spit, it feels like really nasty and rebellious. And I enjoy that. But my view of the government has been completely... So there's unrighteous gaslighting, there's gaslighting, and there's righteous gaslighting. Righteous gaslighting is any form of gaslighting that is righteous. Gaslighting is is gaslighting. It's go look up that definition and it's all that. Unrighteous gaslighting is like you're doing it. And that's Andrew Tate. God told me not to hate Tate, but he didn't tell me to love him. He didn't tell me to like him. Andrew Tate has W takes and he has L takes. And this is, I think, an L take. He has multiple girlfriends, multiple wives. He doesn't tell the government about his wives and stuff. But, he has one of these women, and he studied women or something, and he says, what the women fear most is you lose your heart for them. So what I'll do, and I'm not going to do swearing, but he used swearing on this one. He says, I'll still F-U-C-K them, but there's no kissing anymore. And he smiles. And I'm thinking, why isn't there any kissing anymore? And he's saying, well, because I want to, get in her head. Why isn't he kissing me? But then he'll still stick it in. You know what I mean? And he's, smiling like some, supervillain. And I'm thinking, this is not the gaslighting we're looking for. Why would you do that? But it's his way of spicing things up. I'm going to pretend like I hate her, And she's going to love it because biologically, that's what makes him feisty and stuff. And it's just this really calculated kind of attack. But I guess the idea is that he's going to make her like him more. Whereas if you just go in and kiss her, she's going to say, oh, I got this guy and he belongs to me. Which I think is great. But he's thinking that's not enough. I have to get her to think that I don't like her anymore. And I don't know. I just really, brother. Now you say, well, that's not that big of a deal. Well, is it though? I just basically cried. I mean, it's somebody else doing something else to a stranger, but that's my sister of humanity over there. She's greater in being than the kitten that I just abused. It's not my sin. I'm just watching somebody else sin. But you can learn from other people's mistakes. 3 years later, or 2 years later, whatever, he posts somewhere, I hate all women. Women have let me down. They're all trash. And I'm thinking, well, maybe if you kissed her. Ever thought about that instead of just F-U-C-K? Have you thought about now, if she tells you in January, hey, can you start a bunch of drama in March, April, May, June, July, August, September? Don't tell me when, but just start a bunch of drama because I'm into that. And you're just like, what? And she says, please do it. Because you're boring and you're the most boring guy ever. But don't do it in the next 2 months because I won't believe it. But do it in a way that I'll believe it. And then you're just like, whoa. And then you pray, Lord, help me manipulate and gaslight this girl, then give her the desires of her heart and all that. And then in March, April, May, June, July, August, you F-U-C-K, but you don't kiss her anymore. That's okay. That's pretty funny. But to just make a blanket assumption like, oh, every woman out there loves it when their guy is on the brink of leaving and just playing with their heartstrings in a way where, that's what they really like, is when you play with their heartstrings. And I know they like it because they start loving you more aggressively to try to win you over. And then to say, and even if it is true on one of the girls, it's like, yeah, and it's true for every girl too. So I'm going to start trying it on the brunette, and I'm going to start trying it on the blonde, and, I guess I could say I'm against that idea. Andrew Tate as a person is growing, and he's improving, and you could see his old clips where he's atheist, and he's cussing out God, and now he's like, I just don't know what's better, Christianity or Islam. And Islam, they seem to have it all together. And then he's on the George Janko podcast, and George Janko says, what's better, the great big wolf, or the great good wolf, or the great bad wolf? And Andrew Tate's like, 100%, yes, the good wolf is better. And then he says, the one you feed. And Andrew Tate says, oh my gosh, okay, interesting. And he adjusts his glasses or something. Oh my gosh. And I just thought it was awesome, that clip. And he's somebody who learns righteously. So some of God's favorite creatures aren't necessarily the ones who are born, in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints with a triple vanilla spoon in their mouth, and they start off innocent as babies, and they never mess up, and then they get baptized at 8 because they get baptized at 8, and then they're just super confused when they see somebody else sin. Yes, those are God's favorite in some capacity. It's like, holy crap, not only do you have a clean future, you have a clean past. But there is so much innocence there that they just don't get the joke over here. There's so much innocence here that they can't get a job over here. There's so much innocence here that they don't understand this situation. There's so much innocence that they'll never have righteous skepticism. And God can only use you in certain circles. And God ends up saying, well, how about you marry this woman and you just be a good husband, and that's your calling. How about that? And then you can raise new children. Whereas somebody else like Andrew Tate was super broke, super wicked. He gets into kickboxing. He becomes a world champion for his weight class, and then he gets into. I don't know if he's a Mason or a 33-degree Mason. I don't know. But he seemed to take over YouTube Shorts. But God told me, don't hate Tate. Don't short sell him. I had a dream he was by a tree. I saw it because I hated him the first day I saw him. I thought everything he said, everyone that said he was a misogynist, all this crap, I was like, yeah, I don't like him. And I got a dream first or second day, and it was like, hey, don't short sell him. Like, there are people on earth that are wicked. You call them out. You stick a bullet through them on Facebook or whatever, and you say, I don't like them, burning in hell, stuff like that. But don't do that for Andrew Tate, because the potential is there, and the direction is sometimes more important than the direction that you're going, right? Tesha is the sin you want to repent of. Chada is the sin that you have when you're marching towards Christ and you're missing marks. Like, it's one thing to be in school and get a B or a C. That's not an A. So you're missing marks. You should be getting A's. Tesha is you go to school and you start beating the crap out of kids. Well, come on. It's like, it's not just like, oh, I'm getting an F on every test. It's like I'm failing on purpose and then I'm beating the crap out of other kids. And, well, that's called rebellion. And that is going to get you to now you're going to go to juvenile hall. Now you're going to go to jail. Now you're going to go, and this is jail behavior. Whereas a B and a C, it's just cringe. It's out of tune. I'm glad you're using your brain enough to get a B, but you need to fill in the circles to get an A. So do better. And I remember Alex Funderburg, he got an F on a quiz. It wasn't even a test, it was a quiz. And he's like weeping and crying about it. And the teacher was like, what the heck? But it was the first time he ever got an F, and he was in middle school. So he always got a D or better throughout elementary school. And I was able to see him get his first F. But the quiz was like 7 questions, and he missed 3, so it was 4 out of 7, which is technically an F. Right? Or it's 4 out of 7 a D. Let's see. Well, let's see, 7, 40, 21, 28, 35, 42. Yeah, it's an F, 58%. I just did long division for the first time in a very, very long time. I did 4 divided by 7. So it would be 40. So 7, 14, 20, 30. 7, 14. Do you guys remember how to do long division? Because for a second I didn't. I'll tell you how to go to long division. You go onto your calculator on your phone and you type in 4 divided by 7. That's how you do long division. And that's how we should be teaching kids today. But the way I learned it was 4, you put it in a box, and then the 7 is to the left. The 7 attacks the 4, and if the 7's bigger, then you add a 0. So now it's 40. 7, 40, 20, 28, 35 is 5. So 5, and now it's 5 times 4 is 20. Let's see, 5, 30, 7, 14, 20, 28, 35. So it'll be 5. And then somehow the 5 attacks the 20. No, and then it'd be 2, so it'd be 52%. No, 50, no, let's see. 7, 40, 20, 20, 35. Okay, it's a 5 left over. Let's see. 7, 40, 20. It'd be 5, 20. Let's see. Oh, no. 5. And then the 0 drops down. That's what it was. And then and then it'd be 7, 40. Let's see. 7, 40, 20, 20. And then it'd be 7, 40, 20, 20, 35, 42, 49, 7. It's 57%. Yeah. So it's the 5. Yeah, it's 57%. Interesting. Anyways, the way you view the government, it says a lot about you. Do you focus on the government programs such as food stamps and disability? Like, I'm super broke. My dad has all the equity in this house. He got a reverse mortgage so he could draw out the equity. But it ends up being more of a scam. But it's just no monthly payment. The problem was he had such a good rate in the past. That's what made it a scam. If he had a 6% like everyone else, you're going from a 6 to a 9, and the inflation, is going to eat away. The inflation is going to make the debt less extreme. So the 9 and the 6 miles will be the same. Because we are printing a lot of money right now. But to go from a 3.385 to a 9. And my dad kind of gets mad when I told Facebook that we got a reverse mortgage to live on opposite day. And he was like, why would you tell the world we have a reverse mortgage? I was like, I don't know. I thought it was funny. Sorry. But money, Jesus, the thing was, Jesus was against it. It's kind of a paradox with the money thing. But anyways, the government is obviously in favor of us. They're giving us free food. They love us. There's something about them that's loving me. And it blows my mind that people can get the food stamps and they don't get it. Like they don't thank the government. If they're like, yeah, I deserve this. No, I really. I mean, look at every other country. They don't. I mean, Africa. They're like, hey, can you send me some money? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then I said, I have these food stamps. The government gives it to me, and then I eat food with it. And he goes, oh, we don't have that here. And I said, yeah, I know. I think it, and it's like, and there's a little bit of shame. I remember I was at Safeway, and this girl gave me this look like, dude, you look like you're damn near 34 years old. You should get a freaking job. I was like, yeah, I know. I know the look is deserved. It would be nice if I could get out there and work. And it's not even that I can't work. It's just that my life is a living orgasm. My dad has a parenting style where he doesn't tell me to go out into the world and get a life. His life is, I'm going to pray, I'm going to watch YouTube, I'm going to veg out. If anything, it's like, I'm glad my son's here. Every time I see him, it's like, oh, my son. But some families don't have that. I saw this kid on the news, and he was 32, I think. But they kicked him out when he was 27, and he said no. He was like, no, I'm not going out into the world. I have no skills. I can't do anything. And then they said, that's fine. Leave when you're 28. And then he says, okay. And then when he was 28, he's like, no, I'm not going to leave. And then it was like 29, 30, 31. And then finally at 32, they said, you're leaving. We'll give you $1,400. You don't got to go home, but you got to get the F out of here. And then they call the cops. And the cops come down. And they're like, yeah, man, you got to leave. And I'm thinking, this is totally reasonable. Even if my dad did it to me, it's like because he has the legal right. That's what I'm thinking in my head. And then I go down to the comments, and it was totally different. And I wasn't expecting this. I was like, holy crap, everyone was against that idea. People are saying, only in America would you kick out your son. This is some American nonsense. Because the internet is more than just America. It's like other countries and stuff. And they're just like, now they're pissed that you're kicking out your biological son. And then I was like, okay, I guess so. And then I go to the other one, and then it was like $1,400. What are you going to do with $1,400? That's like a couple days at a hotel or something. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, and then people are making fun of him there, and some people are making fun of the parents. I was like, but he gave you 5 years warning and a year warning. And like, if my dad says, oh, I'm kicking you out in 3 months, I'd be like, oh shit, I'm getting kicked out. That's what I would say. I'd say, oh fuck, oh shit, okay, and I'm thinking, that's his choice. It's his shit. I mean, it's his house. It's his, like, it doesn't even make sense for me to be like, no, I'm a stay here. It's like, what the fuck? Like, it just blows my mind that the kid thought he had the pants in the relationship. And when the law, it'd be one thing if like the law said you can't kick out your biological son, I would still leave, because why would I want to live somewhere where the guy doesn't want me there? Right? I would go to Zach's house. I would go to my mom's house. I don't know, go to church, find somebody at church. I mean, we've housed couch hoppers. There are people who are pretty much homeless that are Christian that, hey, well, we can house you for a month or two or whatever, and we help out people. But it's a spot where it's like, no, I'm gonna use the law and then tell my dad to stick it, and then I'm gonna stay here and just cause drama in the house. I would rather be homeless than do that, I think. Now, it might be like, okay, give me a week to think of a plan or some shit, but, fuck. I was with the parents on that one. And I know I was in the minority, but it's like, the parents were like, listen, we want to have sex when no one's around, and we want to hold hands. And when we raised you as a baby, we thought you were going to be out of here at 18. And this is not how our retirement. And, you could say, oh, they're selfish or whatever, but it's like, listen, you make too much noise when you play video games. You're constantly going to take a piss at 2 a.m. We hear you dump, 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 dump in the house. And my dad says every roommate we've ever had pisses him off. Except for Justin and Eric, because when he's like, if we don't have roommates, we take a piss or we take a shower at 3 a.m., he says, oh, my son's taking a piss. And that's what he feels like. He's like, oh, good for him. I love it when my son takes a piss. But when he has a roommate, he doesn't know who's taking a piss. He's, oh, freaking Marty waking me up. I wish Marty wasn't here. That's what he thinks. But if Marty isn't here, he's thinking, what's that noise? Oh, it's my son. And I love my son. And my dad told me that. It's like so funny to me. Because it's not just, oh, I'm waking up. It's why am I waking up? It's like I'm waking up, oh, because my son is taking a piss. But anyways, I don't think you can put the government in a dichotomy of good, bad. I think it's somewhere in between. If I had to pick, I'd say good. And it's not just, oh, derp, derp, I'm in America. It's like, they're giving us food stamps, and they're giving me disability, and there are safety blankets, and there are Obama phones, and there are Medi-Cal is huge, even more so than disability and food stamps, because I have a toothache. Could you imagine getting a toothache in another country, and the doctor says, well, give me some money. I don't have any money. And then he says, get out of here. What? That would suck. And if the libertarians had it their way, what? You want to get rid of Medi-Cal? You want to get rid of healthcare? The argument against the universal healthcare is, my specific wife has a money demon. And it's like, well, there are so many women who get a rush helping people, and they're really not there for the money. They just know in their heart, oh, I'm called to be a nurse. And whether they make $100K a year or $18K a year, they're going to be a nurse. And if they make $18K a year, they're going to complain about it, but they're going to be a nurse. And they say, yeah, this job doesn't pay enough. And then that thought happens twice a week for a minute. But they're calling. See, here's the thing. My worldview is synchronized with the NDEs. And there's a supernatural realm. And the supernatural realm says, here's a conscience, here's a calling, here's what we're going to do, now do it. Peter Schiff doesn't really believe in God. He doesn't have Jesus. He doesn't have the gospel. So he has an incomplete message because he doesn't factor in Jesus and God and heart and ethic, and higher laws and higher ethics. He's thinking, everyone loves money as much as me. And if that's the case, this is how everything should work. And it's not like that. It's not like that. And that's why the Keynesian economics can work better than the Austrian. Because it's let's just throw some money over here, throw some money over there, and everything's going to work because I've seen it work. Whereas the Austrian school is like more based on labor and like the humans are chasing the money and stuff. The humans chase the money. The Keynesian is I throw money at people and then they do things, and I've seen that work. And it's like, well, how can I be a Keynesian economist when Peter Schiff is like Austrian and Ron Paul's Austrian? It's like they hate Keynesian economics, so I do too, and because they're right about everything. And anyways, the reason why I think I'd be a really good president is because it's not just my cabinet that can change my mind. It's the 30-year-old anchor, Burnett, beautiful anchor that I'm talking to in real time. I'm explaining her my position, and she says, yeah, well, what about all the people in other states who don't want the garbage dumped in their state? And then I was like, oh, you're right. And she says, I am? I was like, yeah, I never thought about it like that. I mean, how many politicians would ever say that? Like, oh, that's a really good question. In fact, I just changed my position in real time. Like, Mitt Romney was saying things that he that the audience, his policies were very, very fluid, and he was all over the place. He's an enigma. He's really just there for the second greatest commandment. He wants to serve everyone. And he's LDS, and I have that same heart. Like, the missionaries come over, and they do all your chores for free, and the whole time they're thinking about the gospel and God, and they have this spirit of service and stuff like that. And the last thing they expected, it's like the guy gives them $5. Thanks for doing all that work. Here's $5. And he says, thanks. Okay. Well, wow. I just had a thought. It's so creepy. This is really creepy. I was in the hall. I was with CJ Salazar. And John Knowles walks by. And I said, here, I'm going to loan you $5. And I hand it to him. And he takes the money. And he immediately gives it back to me. Paid me back. And I said, no, I want to loan you the $5. And he aggressively rolls his eyes. And he takes it. And he walks away with it. And CJ saw the whole thing, and John Knowles was one of my best friends in fifth grade. But all I could remember about John Knowles is that he owes me $5. How messed up is that? Talk about a money demon, dude. That is disgusting. And we had some really fun times. I mean, money is the exact opposite of love for animals. It's the exact opposite of love for humans and love for God. And that's why Matthew 6:24 says a man cannot serve two masters, both God and mammon. Mammon is wealth personified. And if you start giving value to money in your head and stuff, and if you start objectifying people, and the book of Proverbs, it says, don't break bread with a stingy person. He's constantly calculating. In other words, he's objectifying you. And he's thinking, ooh, I'll pay for Papa John's, and then I'll go to a nice restaurant, and then he could pay for the nice restaurant. And he's thinking like that. He's like, ooh, this is an investment. I'm paying for this so I can make more money. And he's like feasting on the person he's with is just thinking, hey, what's your favorite color? Wow, you really like that, okay. And like, who's in heaven, who's in hell? Well, the guy with who's thinking favorite color, he's in heaven, in my opinion. And the guy calculating, he's serving a money demon. And he's thinking, because it's like, where is your mind going? And my stepmom, love her to death. She had a Mammon 1 and a Mammon 2 demon. And that's the thing with capitalism. People think it's a rat race, and they think, like I said, unless you're a dog owner or a cat owner, or unless you own animals, you love money. And I don't care what anyone has to say about it. Everyone loves money unless you own a dog. Because the people who own a dog, I've seen enough. I've asked 37 dog owners, would you sell that dog for 30? Hell no. Well, if you don't love your dog more than a large sum of money, you probably don't have a money demon. Now, the people that have said yes, because only 32 said no, guess what? The only reason why they have the dog is because his wife bought it, or his daughter has it, or I guess there was some people who would genuinely do it. But that's such a small percentage. We're talking like 10% of dog owners. It's just, whoa. And there are more hell no's than yeses. And the yes, it's like it's hard to see him go. And the dentist, I was like, you wouldn't believe it. There was someone who said they wouldn't sell their dog for $100,000. He says, I wouldn't sell it for $100,000 either. I said, how about $1 million? He says, $1 million would be tempting. But what are they going to do to him? Are they going to hurt him? Then no. I was like, how about this? Slightly above average dog owner, $2 million. Tell me, come on, let's go. And he says, can I visit him? Really? This dog. This dog right here. Oh my gosh. And it was a service dog, which is, I think, a little bit better. But everyone thinks their pet is a service dog. That's what's funny. It's like, this dog right here. It's just intimacy over quality, apparently. I talked to this guy. So that someone made a joke, and it had over 100,000, it had over 1 million views, and the joke was how they love their dog. It was like, the wife was like, who do you love most in this world? And it's like, it's you, babe, it's you. And then like she leaves the room, and then he looks at the dog and he says, it's you. Or something like that. I don't know the exact joke, but it was like really bad. And like everyone was laughing about it. And then this guy, he goes, I don't know if it was the same comment thread or somewhere else, but this guy talked about how he loves his dog more than his wife. laughing face emoji. I love my dog more than my wife. Ha 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 ha. Ha. And I said, dude, fuck you. That's what I said to him. And it was the first swear word I said on my Eric Smythe for Christ account, because I changed my name from Eric Smythe 14 to Eric Smythe for Christ. And if you could believe it, it was actually hard for me to make that change because I had that name for 10 years or 11 years or something, like a very long time. I changed it in I had that account since 2007, and I changed the name in 2019 or something, 2018. And it's such a massive upgrade. It's such a higher quality name, Eric Smythe for Christ. And for the longest time, I felt like I was representing Christ online. And Eric Smythe 14, I was like ripping into people and just saying all these crazy things. And then when I changed to Eric Smythe for Christ, I went to say those things, and the Holy Spirit was like, not with that name. And I was like, really? I didn't want to misrepresent Christ. Because Christ is more alpha male than people think, okay? But he's way nicer than you think, too. He's very misunderstood. And I don't understand him perfectly, and I don't want to claim to. But, you know, there's so many... It's like... when God created justice, it seemed like a good idea at the time. Taking justice away seems like a bad idea now. So it's Sophie's choice, because God loves humans. Humans sin. Sin activates the Justice Department. And God can't take away the Justice Department because it's not worth it. Because justice is good. But it's actually justice that roasts people. The laws of justice is what roast people. It's not God. This is LDS theology. I know in Christian theology, yes, it is God who... But in LDS... Well, first of all, in LDS theology, we don't even know how the laws got there. But my opinion is God took the laws and he chucked them up into the air, and now he can't really take it down because it doesn't make any sense. The entire supernatural realm would have to sign off on it, and they're not going to. Like, look at the laws in America. There are some laws that 30% of the population doesn't like drug laws, for example. Marijuana or cocaine or heroin or meth or something like that. Like, Charlie Kirk was like, oh, you want the right to bear arms? He says, yeah, I do. He's like, how about an AK-47? He goes, yeah. How about a bazooka? And he goes, okay, maybe not. And then he says, okay, so you have a line. He's like, yes, I do, actually. And he just, like, shut him down. And it was like... So, if you don't want people walking around with bazookas, then why is it a crazy take that you don't like it when Democrats think you shouldn't walk around with an AK-47? Right? So, I want to be moderate on every position and, like, super swingable, and I want to strengthen both sides. And I want to call both sides an idiot, even though they're probably both very smart. But just because it's funny. Just the high-functioning autism kid calling everyone an idiot, I think is funny. But I do get roasted from God when I do it. But it's on a delay. And Matthew 5:22 says, anyone who says, thou fool, will be in danger of hellfire, and anyone who says raka. So, and I know that verse too. But it doesn't say every time. It doesn't say if you call someone an idiot, you're going to hell. It says you're probably going to hell. So, for me, it's a guessing check. I call someone an idiot, and then God, 3 days later, he's like, nope, he wasn't an idiot. And I was like, damn it. And then I get wrecked, and then I have to apologize and stuff. Like, I called the missionaries idiots simply because they didn't have enough scriptures memorized, and it was too free, and they were just turning the other cheek. So it was elder abuse, literally, because they're elders. And I had my phone recording it. It was just too good. Oh man. And yeah, yeah. Anyways, I love the government. I mean, this whole idea that we're gonna, like, Trump's going in there like, yeah, they're gonna tell me that, they killed JFK, and I already know that. And I walk in, and it was like debrief. Here's what's really going on, and all this crap. And then he's like, oh crap. That's what Colton told me. He says Trump walking in, thought he was this big guy, and then he's like, oh crap. There's some evil stuff going on, dude. Uh-oh. But my friend CJ Salazar, we're like really close friends, and we were hanging out in middle school. And we've known each other for so long. And when I was malfunctioning on Facebook, I was a fucking asshole. And I was really fucking shit up. And everyone was like super pissed at me. And CJ was like the only guy who was like, listen, there are words. These are just words on social media. He's not that bad. He's not like bottom 10% in the world, bottom 2%. And it was like, he would have never, ever said that if anyone had done something half as bad as what I was saying on there. If it was like even like 10% of what I was saying, he would have ripped hellfire into them if he didn't know them. And he should. But the thing was, I have 1,300 friends on my or 1,800. Now it's 1,300 because 500 people, got rid of me. But 500 people clicked the unfriend button, and probably a lot more sandwiched. You click the sandwich, and then it says, don't show posts from this person anymore. That's what I would press. I rarely unfriend people. But if you could click a sandwich, and then you say don't show, or less of this person, or you could do block posts, future posts from this person. And they can still see your posts, but you can't see theirs, right? And it's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool button. They didn't have that in the past, but nobody knows that button's there, really. So they just say, oh, screw this guy, and they get rid of me. Well, I don't use Facebook I used to go on Facebook, and I was just like, whoa, dude. And I was like scrolling by, and I was really interested in other people's lives online, on Facebook. And now I don't care. I just think about God, and I have macro versus micro, and I don't even know what day it is, and I don't know, like, I have one chore, and it's to take out the trash on Sunday, and I don't I rarely do laundry, and I don't need to bathe when I do it. But like, I just, if it was up to me, I'd lay on the couch and think 10 hours a day, every day. And that would be my life. And I have my phone every once in a while. But like, my head is constantly stretching. And this house is just too big. I would like a half, like, I would love to take Lance's job. He protects he lives on a little bed. and he has his welfare, and he does stock trading. He has a stock trading sponsorship, and he just trades stocks. He's a stock trader, and he has to beat a simulation to get to a higher level, and then he gets sponsorship, and then he gets a third of the profits or half the profits or whatever after he kicks everyone's butt in the simulation, and he's constantly doing that. And I asked him, I said, what's the longest you've ever prayed? And he says 18 minutes, 15 to 18 minutes at a time. And I said, yeah, so you should go for a few hours. Because we just hung out, Lance and I, we hung out for 4 hours. He was talking to me for 4 hours. Well, for a lot of people, talking to humans is so much more better than talking to God. Why is that? You talk to the human talks back. You talk to the human talks back. Talk to the human talks immediately, feedback. They're beautiful. You go out to talk to God and you look up to the stars and you talk to him and it's just silence. It's like, Lord, did you hear me? And he's like, oh, I heard you. Aren't you going to say something back? And it's just crickets. Well, that's a different experience, isn't it? I would argue it's much better. But most people most people think it's worse. They would rather interact with this dog right here. The dog doesn't even speak English. It's just it's feeling to feeling with the dogs. With human, it's words and feeling to word and feeling. And to God, it's like, for a lot of people, it's just one way, and it takes a long time to build a relationship where God starts talking back to people. And when God talks back, sometimes people get freaked out. There's a verse in the Book of Mormon, and if you don't believe in the Book of Mormon, which most people don't, but I expect people to treat my Book of Mormon the way I treat their Quran. I think everyone treats the Bible like the Bible, pretty much. And even Muslims will respect the Bible, and actually the Quran pumps up the Bible. So the Quran is a holy book, but it's another religion. And when someone quotes the Quran to me, I take it with not a grain of salt, but like an entire cup of salt. And when someone quotes the Bible to me, I don't take it with any salt at all. There's no salt that you need. I would rather have context than salt. I would rather have no salt than salt. How about that? Obviously, I'd rather have context. Obviously, context is better than salt. Or maybe it's not obvious. That's crazy. There are people who would rather dump salt on the Bible than context on the Bible. That's crazy. Really, brother? They're like, yeah, I don't want more Bible. I want less Bible. Okay. That's interesting. I just had a thought. Is the government closer to the Bible or is it closer to the Quran? That's interesting. That's an interesting question. I would say it's closer, in America, I'd say it's closer to the Bible. for me. Like, if there is a 18-year-old girl and I'm 34, let's just say she's a slut. She's 5 bodies, 10 bodies, 100. I mean, body count is. I remember telling Lance, he's like, "Oh, I've slept around. It's crazy." And I said, 50 bodies? And he goes, "Oh, God, no." I was like, "Oh, because I know a guy who has 300 bodies. He's extroverted. He's super like Austin Powers swag, right? When are we gonna bring swag back? I don't know. Swag is it's unrighteous cringe, that word, and you could feel it in your spirit. It was a bad word to begin with. It was hyped up in witchcraft, and it's a dead word. And it's like God doesn't like it, the devil doesn't like it anymore. No one likes it. And my roommate will use it unironically sometimes. But everyone